Good morning, everyone. I'm going to invite those of you in the hallways to come on in and take your seat. My name is Natalie Gochnour. I'm an associate dean here at the David Eccles School of Business. And I want to welcome you to the beautiful University of Utah campus, to the Eccles School, and for those of you that are from the outside, to the state of Utah. Don't we have a lovely campus? Beautiful day here, fall. Our student body here stretches to almost 38,000 people, students. Our goal is to create unsurpassed societal impact that will help our state thrive and help our students live the life of their dreams. Speaking of impact, just to kind of orient you, I'll also note that the 2034 Olympic Winter Games opening ceremony will be held about a 3-minute walk just west of here. So just kind of giving you a sense of the kinds of things happening in Utah. People watch Utah. Opening ceremony will have north of 3 billion people that watch that event in February of 2034. But that's not all people. That's not all people watch about Utah. I'm an economist by training. I lead a public policy institute. We have built in this state what I would call the most elite economy in the nation. In 2024, we led the nation in GDP growth. This is a state that has the lowest poverty rate in the nation, very high rates of upward mobility. And we also are a state that has a very well-diversified economy where people thrive. But here's the thing. We also have an expensive, unaffordable housing market that is threatening the wealth creation and stability of young Utah families. Right now, the state of Utah, if we look at it by the price of a single family, the median sales price of a single family home, we have the 10th most expensive housing market in the nation. That's a big surprise to many. We're an inland, western state, but have that type of pressure on our prices. It's constraining our growth, but most importantly, it imperils the wealth creation and stability of young families. So we need to do things differently. And so that we don't, in the words of our top housing advisor in the state, betray the promise of the American dream to Utahns. So that's why I'm so excited for what we're going to do today. We've assembled in this room the best and brightest in our country, and stakeholders, innovators, thinkers about the housing market to help us chart a new path forward. There's a real opportunity to do things differently, and it starts with the group of people in this room. So look around, see the nature of the human talent that's assembled here, and let's seize the moment. So it's my pleasure not only to welcome you, but also to introduce Clark Ivory, who is the CEO of Ivory Homes, Utah's largest home builder. He's also the founder of Ivory Innovations. He's a longstanding friend and colleague of mine. And the way I like to think of Clark is that he's a builder, not just of homes, not just of community, but of people and of prosperity. So let's welcome Clark.
Anyone who knows Natalie knows why Utah is such an amazing state, accomplishing such great things. There's leaders out in the front. There's our governor and there's business leaders that get a lot of recognition, but then there's those behind the scenes that just seem to guide our policy. And no one does it better than Natalie Gochnour. And she's not only a founding member, let's give her a big hand. So everyone wants the kind of economic development that Natalie talked about. Every single state is envious of what's being accomplished, but eventually the success leads to other challenges, and that's what we've seen. And then once you see those challenges sort of coming your way, housing becomes more expensive, traffic starts to become more congested, there starts to be this anti-growth sentiment. And even in a red state like Utah, you seem to have a lot of people that forget about property rights and forget about what really got us to where we are today. There's a disconnect between everyone who wants economic development, which I think they define as increased jobs and perhaps increased retail sales, but they don't realize that without reasonable and moderate housing, you can't achieve ongoing and sustainable growth. Jobs, I think, needs to be seen as equaling housing, and housing equals jobs. Retail sales are connected to housing. And yet, why is everyone so in favor of retail sales and bringing in new opportunities and new jobs? And they don't see the connection where we've got to have the housing. So today I want to discuss with you just three things. First, why we started Ivory Innovations. And then next, the second amazing resource, which we just released today, the little book of high impact solutions, of low cost, high impact solutions. Great ideas from across the country. I'm so excited that we're going to be releasing this. And third, my last thing is, how are we going to get local representatives, local leaders to play a more proactive role in making housing affordability a high priority? Where that happens, amazing things happen. So first, when did we start Ivory Innovations? 2017. We looked at the state of housing. Prices were rising faster than incomes in our own state. No longer was this just a coastal problem. It was a problem for every growth state. Utah was poised to be one of those fastest growing states in 2017. We were adding jobs and our incomes were rising faster than almost any other state. And yet, as Natalie said, we would soon become one of the top 10 most expensive states in the country. So why is this? Well, it's what we were just talking about. This anti-growth mentality, I think, has a real impact. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat in the avenues of, downtown Salt Lake City or a Republican in the suburbs, all are fighting housing. Everywhere we turn, there's sort of this not in my backyard mentality. All this leads to us not building enough housing to match the growth. In the state of Utah, we sort of project that we're going to have to keep up with household formations about 27 to 28,000 units per year between now and 2050. And yet we're only building in the last couple of years between 20 and 22,000. So people ask, well, if things are sort of getting softer, why aren't home prices going down in Utah? Well, the reason is we still are not keeping up with demand. And many are consequently feeling priced out of housing. So what is the answer? I think you all are the answer because you are the innovators. I think innovation has got to be the answer. Innovation in construction and design, innovation in finance, and innovation in policy and regulatory reform. We asked ourselves where the best ideas come from. When we started Ivory Innovations, we decided we had to look at the entrepreneurs across this country that had the best ideas. But it wasn't just the businesses, it was also those entrepreneurial municipalities, those entrepreneurial institutions, those that were willing to try new things. And so the Ivory Prize was founded to shine a light on all of the best ideas, the best innovation, the best solutions. So many people have conferences where they talk about the problems. We don't really like those kind of meetings and engagements. We look for those opportunities to share solutions. So we've looked at over 1,000 different companies and organizations that we think are really making a difference in innovation, and it has been amazing. We are encouraged by the future of housing because of the innovators. So this is a natural segue for us to talk about the little book of low-cost, high-impact solutions. Over the last 6 months, our team has worked hard to put together this little book. And special thanks to Amy Tomaso, who just finished up at Harvard's MRED program at the Graduate School of Design. This has been her project that we tasked her with. The thing that makes our work unique, we think, is the focus on looking at the best case studies, the best solutions. And Each of you received a copy of this little booklet this morning. We hope that you will share it, and we'll make this electronically to everyone. But we've got to get it in the hands of all these cities across the country. We're certainly going to make sure it's in the hands of every city in Utah. The amazing thing about most solutions is that they don't cost a lot of money. I mean, most of our big problems in this country cost enormous amounts of money. Housing, we just need to figure out how to allow builders and developers to do their thing, to reduce friction, to cut down the costs associated with delays, entitlement delays, permitting delays, and then unreasonable standards that are inconsistent across the country. We're really a sort of a mess in terms of the amount of inconsistencies we see across the country, and it makes it very difficult for builders and all kinds of suppliers to adapt and to innovate. We need to simplify the process to bring a house to market. It's just become far too complex. Each of the 6 chapters in the book that we've written features a case study of a city doing just what we're talking about. In Austin, they've made it easier to build infill housing by eliminating site plan review for up to 16 units. In South Bend, they've eliminated design friction by creating a citywide pre-approval house plan set that is seeing homes permitted in less than a day. That's how it should be. Minneapolis took 16 independent sites and used modular construction to deliver 84 homes in record speed and at reduced cost. Well, this book is for cities who realize that time is money in housing development. If they cut down on the development costs for us, make home builders their partners, and streamline the process, then they are too part of the solution. How many cities will become part of the solution? Unfortunately, today we're going to have an opportunity to hear from a few that are just that. They have become part of the solution. We hope that this little book of solutions will help you get innovation rolling in your part of the country. Feel free to share it. This leads to my final point. I'm excited to hear from our next panel who understand that housing is vital in every community and to its prosperity. We have to find new innovative ways to build more housing together. Housing is local. Local leaders need to play a proactive role in making housing affordability the top priority. I think we're doing that in our state, and hopefully more and more cities will start to make it their top priority. Before we move on to the panel, I want to thank many of our supporters here today. I want to thank the National Housing Crisis Task Force, who we're joining with in this 2-day sort of effort. I want to thank Call to Action and Crystal's here for their amazing support of all that we're doing together. The Gochnour group, who's helped sponsor this day's activities. Now I'll have Abby, my daughter, the president of Ivory Innovations, join me on stage to make the introductions of our panel. Thank you very much.